For Chorus Collective and NYU Stern School of Business Berkeley Center for Entrepreneurship, I'm Leon Lee.
And I'm Antonio Di Meglio. This is Capital Calling, where founders step into the spotlight to face real investors, real feedback, and a real opportunity for investment.
Now, let's meet our founder.
Joining the call today is Krish Bajaj of Rome, who realized moving abroad is supposed to be exciting, not exhausting. He's built a platform that brings together all the essentials for international students in one place, so the only thing they stress about is choosing their dorm year. Will he answer the call? We'll find out.
But first, let's meet the investors. Krish, capital is calling. Do you have what it takes to redefine home?
Hi, I'm Krish, a former international student, recent NYU grad, and the founder of Rome.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm an investor at Draper Associates. We're a generalist investor. We love to invest in frontier tech, anywhere from pre-seed to Series A, but we love to stay at the seed stage.
Hi, Michael Nogen. I'm an investor at Overton Venture Capital, pre-seed, seed stage fund. We're really focused on this evolving consumer, so we're generalists by nature. For us, it's really about the founders and being opportunistic.
And I'm V. Langer. I am a venture partner at Pioneer Fund, mainly a Y Combinator based seed fund, but we do other investments. Very general. So anything from fintech to healthcare. So glad to meet you.
Every year, 7 million students cross borders to study abroad. But for most of them, the hardest part is not getting accepted. It's starting their lives in a new country. Opening a bank account, setting up insurance, finding housing, paying tuition, every step of the process is fragmented across different systems, currencies, and providers. This fragmentation doesn't just create stress for students, it causes universities to miss out on potential enrollments, forces service providers to operate in silos, and leaves billions of dollars of value trapped between disconnected systems, effectively constraining the sector's ability to scale. At Rome, we're fixing that. We are building the operating system for global student mobility. An ecosystem that connects students, service providers, and universities with each other throughout the entire process. Our model unfolds over 4 sequential phases: aggregate, distribute, operate, and integrate. Each one of these phases solves a critical problem for a key stakeholder in this space. Let's begin with aggregate. When I first came to NYU in 2021, it took me and every other international student I know close to 3 weeks to get set up with the bare essentials. We're talking about a bank account, SIM card, and insurance, not to mention the $5,000 spent on doing so. So I started Rome. Today, we've built the world's most comprehensive marketplace for international student services. With 40 different partners in 10 different verticals, any student can get set up with everything they need to start their lives in a new country from the comfort of their own home while saving tons of time, loads of stress, and thousands of dollars along the way. This brings me to phase 2, distribute. To channel students to the marketplace, we knew we had to get to them before they left home. So we acquired a distribution network of 3,700 study abroad aggregators across South Asia. That gives us access to close to 70% of students leaving the subcontinent, allows us to reach them with our products and services on the marketplace before they leave, effectively giving service providers who work with us early access to students and helping bridge the gap between them getting set up and them studying abroad. Once we built this expansive distribution, we attracted the attention of several institutions, including a few governments. That brings me to phase 3, operate. We launched a subscription-based service to capitalize on this access we'd built called Global Access, wherein any entity that subscribes, we build and operate local teams for them to push their products and services through to students through our distribution network on their behalf, effectively giving them local market access in a matter of days instead of months or years. Coming to phase 4, which is integrate. Now that we've aligned students, service providers, and institutions alike, it's time to natively offer services that are currently constraining the industry. The two biggest problems we've seen students suffer with are finding housing and making international payments. So we're currently at the phase where going forward, we're natively offering these solutions directly through our platform, unlocking tremendous value for everyone involved in this space. Together, these 4 phases lay the foundation for the world's first truly connected ecosystem for international education, one that transforms how students move, how universities grow, how service providers scale, and how global education operates. That's Rome.
That's great. What's your traction look like?
We have traction by phase, so I'll start over there. With the marketplace, we've helped about 7,500 students relocate, not just to the US. It includes UK, Australia, all of Europe as well. So that's going well. The number of partners grows by about 5 or so every month. We currently cover banking, cellular, insurance, taxes, visas, loans, travel, food, jobs, housing. Virtually anything a student could require to start their life in a new country, we can assist them with. On distribution, we have access, like I mentioned, to about 70% of all students leaving the subcontinent. India being the largest source market and the surrounding regions included in that, we have one of the largest educational-focused distribution networks on the planet. When it comes to operate, our most recent contract that we signed, I'll give you 3 of them. One was with the government of Western Australia to distribute their curriculum to high schools in India, to create a very strong pipeline of students going to Australia, given the geopolitical environment with the rest of the world. Second was with Cambridge, Cambridge University, to distribute their materials and academic resources, again, to schools across South Asia. And third was with HSBC, the global bank, to open bank accounts for students studying anywhere in the world and streamlining payment and money movement for these students wherever they choose to go.
So what's the business model? Is it the partners pay you to be on the platform?
So we have 3 revenue streams. First is affiliate revenue. Partners pay us to be on the platform, and we get a cut per student that converts. Second is we trade in commodities like SIM cards and any product on this platform that can be traded. We keep a margin and we move it in bulk. And third, we have subscription revenue coming in from global access, which is the model through which we work with institutions to give them access to the local.
So are you a services business right now?
Yes, we're a services business right now.
So what's your strongest revenue stream? And could you share numbers?
We got started with 2 of these revenue streams just about 2 months ago. In the trading vertical, we are currently averaging about $150,000 worth of volume with a blended rate of about 8% monthly. And with the subscription business, we're looking at contracts ranging from about $50,000 to $100,000 a year with each institution. And that's recurring revenue. So that is the traction we have in terms of numbers, in terms of revenue that we've been able to put up with these revenue streams. The biggest stream is yet to be unlocked, which is integration, where we start to natively offer the services. So with HSBC, we're working on creating a platform that would be the lowest cost Forex money movement way for students to pay for housing, for tuition, for anything it is, wherever they choose to study. In that case, we keep 50% of all Forex. So that's where it really starts to scale.
First of all, I think you're tackling a massive pain point that you've lived through. I've actually done it the other way as an American studying abroad. And it's like, okay, how do I set up a bank account, do all these things? So I know it's a pain point on both sides of the ocean. I guess I'm trying to get a sense of, when do you hit people? Like, when does this become top of mind? And is it a seasonal business? Because again, if you talk about like people go back to school generally in the fall or spring, for international, it's probably going to be like at least a year. So it's probably going to be fall. And then once they've engaged with the platform and they set up a bank account and they have housing and so forth, what keeps them back on the platform? So it's not a one and done, like a one-off. Because I think about like just CAC, right? So you're acquiring a customer, but how do you then continue to have that customer on your platform that just doesn't become almost like a seasonal business?
That's a great question, both of them. So to answer your first, yes, if we were only serving one country, it would be a seasonal business. But if you look at the calendar, students leave for the US between June and August. Then UK starts in September going to November. Australia only begins in Jan, Feb, March. So given that we're serving students going globally, yes, in technical terms, it is seasonal by country, but we have business year-round from different parts of the world. So we've created the list of services such that it completely aligns with the student lifecycle, wherein at every stage we have value to offer, and the service providers we work with are by far guaranteed to be the most affordable, the best offering out there for what it is you come to search. So if I were to just give you a layout of the lifecycle, including where we first plug in and become top of mind, the second you secure your admission, the study abroad counselor who's helped you get to that point, their job is done. Then actually moving to the new country and starting a life, there's no one to help you. That's the gap we found when we personally experienced this. And that's where we plug in. So this distribution network we've created, most of it consists of these study abroad counselors whose service offering ends when the student gets in. Now we've given them a new way to earn more revenue by adding our service offering on top of what they already offer. So that bridges the gap to help the student actually get set up before they leave home. And in terms of life cycle, talk about the essentials, your bank account, SIM card, insurance. That's phase one. Phase two is, let's say you need a job. We have international-only job boards. We have resume tools. We have everything you need to curate your experience to go out there and land an internship. And then talk about loan refinancing. Let's say you get a job. Now you can take that 12% interest rate down to 9%. We can help you with that. Let's say you're getting off the F1 onto an H1B or an alternative visa. We have about 8 different visa partners who can help you with these different visa types. So anything you need, we've got you covered.
So I guess it sounds like probably one of the biggest challenges is the education piece, right? It's like, how do you get the college counselors or guidance counselors or these, how do people find you? How are you addressing that? Are you doing seminars and are you doing outreach to various universities?
3 ways through which students find us. The biggest one is our media presence, because we realize that this shared trauma really pierces through everyone and they feel this emotionally. So we've built a big enough social presence where we reach about 500,000 students a month organically with $0 spent. And that is a huge huge lead channel of organic support to bring people to the marketplace. Second to that is the distribution we've amassed in South Asia, through which we're able to reach all these study abroad aggregators, whether that be schools, counselors, test prep agencies, lenders, anyone who deals with students before they leave home. We have access to them and we incentivize them to push these services forward to students. So yes, part of it is in-person seminars, but it's all done by the person who the students already trust. So we don't have to reestablish that connection. They've already been working with said person for an extended period of time, making that person appear better for helping the student get set up with everything. Meanwhile, we benefit by offering them the platform to do so.
So I am this student. So I had this exact problem. I'm wondering, you've said you've done a lot of different things, and I had this exact problem. I went to different companies for that, and now there's Migrate Mate, which is that job board. There's Lighthouse Labs that's doing the visa aspect. Each of those things that you've mentioned that your company does seems like a different company. So how are you guys the pinnacle of all of these different things that people have built full companies on, and how do people know that they can trust you with all of these different things that you really need to have deep expertise and trust?
That's a great question, Michelle. We don't offer these services natively. Our whole business model is bringing them together. So we refer you to MigrateMate. We refer you to XYZ person. These, like you said, you've already heard of them, or you might have heard of them. We are the platform that you come to discover who they are. And then the next phase of what we're doing with the marketplace is ratings and reviews. So amongst the 8 or 10 job boards that focus on international student-sponsored roles, we can tell you which one to go to. If there's special discounts, they come through us. So we have these tie-ups with each of these providers, like Lighthouse, like Manifest, Alma, MigrateMate, where our students or our audience get exclusive benefits to go ahead and engage with those partners. Effectively, those partners get access to students very early on through our ecosystem. We are simply the enabler, the connector. You can think of us as Amazon, with the last stage, integrate, being wherever we see the most traction or the potential to vertically integrate and do it ourselves, that is when we'll step in and say, okay, we will natively offer this solution specifically.
Have you tried working with the actual universities themselves to be like in their welcome packet or whatever?
So we're in process of doing that. And that's where it really links well with the global access solution, where universities come to us for enrollment. So in this case, not only can we give you more access to students, but we also support them after they're enrolled, and works both ways. So yes.
That makes perfect sense. That was when you first started explaining your pitch. That's what I thought you were doing. So I'm curious what the margins might be on SIM cards that you need to do that as well.
Yeah, that's where I got confused.
Okay.
It doesn't.
No, I see it.
You also don't want to hold inventory.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to make any sense to. Right. You're spreading yourself thin when your core business should be being the company that universities have in their welcome packet for students, right, and making your annual revenue from the university directly.
I appreciate that. No, I think that's the direction we're headed in, and it was kind of quite a long journey to assimilate everything and move in that direction. But I think we're aligned with moving there, so we're currently in the process of doing so.
Just final question: what's the biggest challenge right now? Like, what's the biggest risk? What keeps you up?
That's a great question. The biggest challenge that I'm trying to figure out, team's trying to figure out, is we have tremendous volume flowing through our platform, and we have exceptional business development. We are trying to figure out how to capture this, and that could be as simple as having a follow-up sequence with every student, or managing a way to nurture these leads more effectively so that they convert to these services. Because we see about a couple hundred organic clicks to a very high-ticket service like a visa, where we get paid $3,000 per student that signs up. But then there's no follow-up. So we're kind of losing people over there. Just bridging that pipeline would help a lot.
Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
All right, judges, now it is time for the judges debrief component of the show. How are we feeling about the pitch?
It's certainly an interesting idea because obviously I'm not an international student, so I've never had to experience any of that. But I can imagine that as an international student, it would be, challenging to get all these things set up. I could certainly imagine that. I think they're spreading themselves kind of thin. There's way too many channels here. And that needs to be tightened up, I would say. That's probably what I would say to them, is to tighten up their business model, because it's a great pitch, and it sounds like it's, a big circle that everything connects to, but there's so many spokes here that it's just, you can't possibly do all of them that well.
It seems like Roam is a service aggregator for a captive audience. To what extent can a business like that be venture scaling?
That was my question. Was like, is a service, not only is a service aggregator, but it seems like they're also a services business at the same time. And they felt like they had to be a services business to top up the revenue streams, because they weren't sure which revenue stream was actually going to be their revenue stream. And there wasn't a lot of clarity around that. And then so they were like, okay, if we don't have a very clear revenue stream, then let's also be a services business. And as an international student myself, I've totally had this problem, and I do think there needs to be a services aggregator here, but I'm curious why they need venture money, I guess. If they've already aggregated all of these services and you have all these services in a marketplace, I don't know. A lot of the businesses that I've interfaced with as an international student, they're services businesses that are doing really, really well, and they're not venture businesses.
Right. Only thing I could say, kind of assessment I could make is that more than the venture funding, they're looking for the value add of getting, if they were trying to get to the universities, then there's VC funding is not the worst way to get warm intros.
I think that there's a huge opportunity. I'm not as familiar with his competitive landscape, because I don't know I know there are different verticals that are taken care of, but I don't know. I think, to answer your question from a venture, how venture backable is this? I think it's still going to require a significant amount of money in terms of marketing and just awareness. I think it's not. I would not assume that this is just coming through, partnership channel and the college counselor. this is a brand new, new workflow, new platform, new tool. I also would, expect this business to also maybe focus on a certain region first and do it really well and become the player. And that way, then you can replicate the model elsewhere. I don't know the nuances or how difficult or different it is. If you're servicing a North America market, Canadian versus US versus, Germany versus Australia.
Yeah, they are very different. Like, I think US is probably a huge market and you'd probably make the most money off of it, especially the way that he was talking about it, especially with the visa, like that. I resonate with that a lot. Like the visa aspect, getting the new SIM card. It's impossible to get housing here as an international student. There's definitely a market here. I don't know. There's definitely a cap also to how many international students are coming to the US. And so it's more in terms of being a venture backable business, it's like, is this $1 billion business? I guess is more what I'm asking. I think I agree I think this needs to be a business. This needs to exist. It needs marketing dollars to get out there. But I don't know how it gets to $1 billion.
Is that limited because of this potential like one-time use? Because that's what also I'm getting stuck on. It's okay, you go there, you discover, but what keeps me on that platform and just not...
I think there is a thing to keep you on the platform there, right? Like once you get all the services set up.
It's one time. Yeah, I did it one time.
So you're spending a lot of money to acquire a customer. Who knows? I mean, the business is too young to figure out like what's the actual LTV, but I don't know. I think to make this really venture scalable, $1 billion business plus, maybe it's like, how do you keep people on the platform or get them again? Like it can't be like a one and done.
Yeah. That or you have to capture the universities. That's that's the revenue you need because a student.
Yeah. Because then it'll be recurring for sure.
Yeah. Like if NYU is going to give you $1 million a year to like be the provider for all this, then that, there's a use case that theoretically every university that has international students en masse would do something like that.
But there's also a cap on how many universities have enough students, like a critical mass that they're willing to pay for it.
Or the platform becomes almost like it's the, it's like the razor blade type of thing. So it's like you have a model. So using the NYU as an example, you sell into NYU and it's like, let us be your platform for all new students that are coming in. Let the university push it out, which goes to the parents, which are big decision makers, the students. But essentially it's like, it's you're creating like a tool and then you can replicate that same tool and sell it across to any university. And there are lots of colleges, universities.
That's how, even when he first mentioned it, that's exactly how I thought it was, where it was going. And you can obviously have a paid version for students that are going to like, say, a small school that wouldn't need the school to have this. You could have like a $20 or $30 option for those kids. But yeah, like if I'm the, the board of chancellors or whatever at Harvard, and I'm like, I have, 20% of my incoming students are international, then I would want to make it as easy as possible for them, especially given everything that they have to do. This would be a justifiable and usable expense.
But also, if you think if you're making money off international students, which are typically the ones that pay full price, right, this almost becomes an extra like white glove type service that actually benefits from a university perspective. It's like, hey, now I get a higher NPS score, or, we had such a easy time getting, our visa and housing that people are going to, it's like, it's organic.
Like most international students obviously come from wealthier families and everything too, right? To even afford to go abroad like that. So the fact that he wasn't charging any students and only making affiliate money seemed like a missed opportunity as well, because those are the people that
would be way willing to pay $50 a month or whatever.
All of the luxury services to make sure that their kids are not stressed out and that they're just focused on what they're there to do, to study.
I absolutely think he could be making recurring revenue off of the students right now.
Yeah.
But where do you guys stand on whether you think it's a venture business?
If the things that we just discussed were tweaked, I'm certain it could be venture backed. In its current stage, I don't think so.
Because right now it sounds like it's just more of just another like another market. Yeah, it's an affiliate marketing.
Do you have an opinion on answering your own question there, Michelle?
I don't know if he has clarity on which revenue stream he wants to go after and how he wants to go after it is probably where I'm stuck. I am very connected to this problem because this is absolutely a problem I have had and I'm currently having. I know it needs to exist. I'm struggling with if you end up selling it to colleges and universities. I've worked in ed tech before. The sales cycles are super long. If you're selling to universities, there's only so many universities that have enough international students and have the budget that are going to be willing to pay extra for a service like this. And it's an uphill battle for them to be doing that, especially in like an administration like today, or for example, you never really know what might happen. So,
but it's so easy. It's like if you target it correctly, it's so easy to get the right, like to get the revenue. Like you can white line this into the tuition bill and collect the money from the university instead. The university pays you to be on there. There's so many ways that you could make money that don't involve selling SIM cards. I'm sorry, I'm really stuck on the fact that selling SIM cards. Yeah. Like why are we doing this? So. Yeah.
There could be, but then it's like, is the university going to go to those lengths to add that line for this business?
If it's a meaningful upgrade, a meaningful quality of life upgrade for their highest paying students, I don't see why they wouldn't.
So maybe that is what we want to hear, whether or not it's venture backable, because that's going to say, like, if you can get the universities and maybe even one use case or one case study from one college or university that says, because of this platform, our NPS score went up, or, it made it so much easier. It was seamless, and we could actually get to, talk to the student before they came on. I think that maybe being able to sell that, like, this is a really big problem and could, or deliver a huge 10x value to what currently exists. Like by someone who's actually going to pay you a recurring revenue, not just.
But to your point, I do think right now students would individually pay for this. 100%. And maybe he should turn that on and test that. And then maybe we'd be having a different conversation.
But those are two different business models.
That completely different. I don't know.
They go hand in hand. If the university is going to pay you versus the university would pay you to be, I would assume that you would have them pay you to be the official carrier or whatever. And then the student would still pay you the monthly fee for all the actual handling of the work, right? Like you would get like a partnership fee from the university. And then
I guess it depends. Is this, are you buying into a portal? So it's like we will create the NYU portal that's, specific for your international students.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like I don't know, the way when I look at it, that seems like.
That's sort of business.
Yeah. That seems like the obvious way to do it, right? Like, I mean, you can white label all of them so that they have the university's colors or whatever. And there's your international portal and it's all the stuff you need. And either you can charge the university per student, or you can charge them a partnership fee, a lump sum partnership fee, and then charge the students to access that portal. Either way, it's better than this.
Yeah. I definitely think that the affiliate models are great from a revenue perspective, but if they can take it to that next level, which is more of a curated, specific to that student, because I think part of the heart, it's like, you don't know, bank A versus bank B versus bank C. You just know you need to have a bank account somewhere, or you need a SIM card. If you can make that journey easy and take out any sort of friction, just make it super simple.
All right, judges, thank you so much for your feedback on Krish and Rome. Now sending it to Leon, who is currently on hold with Krish.
Welcome to the On-Call Room. My name is Leon. I'm here with Krish of Rome. Krish, how do you think you did on the pitch?
I think it was good, well articulated. Maybe a bit long-winded in certain aspects. That's a takeaway I had before hearing what they have to say, but it's definitely helped with some introspective feedback on how we can improve going forward.
So Rome was built out of a pain point that you personally experienced. I'm an international student. I experienced it. Can you share a bit more about your experience in terms of being an international student at NYU?
Definitely. So I got here in 2021. We were the first batch right after COVID. took me and everyone else I knew close to 3 weeks to get set up with the absolute bare essentials required to live in this country. Bank account, SIM card, insurance. All because we had to go in person to get these things set up while domestic students could do everything online. Not having an SSN was a big issue.
Right.
And a lot of these service providers aren't built to serve immigrants. And that led to me going on a hunt to find affordable services that were immigrant friendly and could offer high quality service for all these different things that one needs to live in a country. And that's how Rome came to be.
If we could touch on the main talking point that was discussed on the pitch was the business model in terms of revenue stream. The judges seem conflicted in terms of affiliate marketing is great for the short term in terms of developing revenue stream. But in terms of the judges were conflicted in terms of whether to go straight to direct to consumer, because you could turn on that switch and get revenue straight off the bat with your supply, or you go direct to universities and partner with them. If you could shine some more light in terms of which angle you would see Rome going down the line.
I think D2C is great. The only shortfall we've had with that, despite 500,000 students reached every month organically, is the lack of trust. When you're in a new country, oftentimes you are scared of being scammed. You want to be extra careful about who you're going to get these services. Now, while they might trust Rome as a platform, a lot of the providers we list are targeted to international students and hence don't have the same presence as an AT&T or a Chase or names they're familiar with.
Right.
Hence, it made a lot of sense for us, or makes a lot of sense for us to focus B2B, whether that be through universities, but also through study abroad counselors and stakeholders in the home country, people who they trust and know are going to guide them to the right services. And by laying Rome on top of these people or these entities, it helps us establish a very strong base and a degree of trust, which then we could leverage tomorrow to go D2C. So B2B at first,
right,
and eventually move that to D2C.
Interesting. Well, Chorus Collective have been in contact with you for over a year now. You guys started developing in America, in American universities specifically. How has the growth into Australia, like you mentioned, and internationally, how is it different than those businesses and partnerships working with universities here in the States?
That is my favorite question to answer. Reason being, in Australia, for example, everything is extremely regulated. There's a very small group of universities, only 40 in the whole country. There are no more than 3 to 5 providers in every vertical, of which only a few are approved by universities. For us to build the chain of the student journey going to Australia becomes extremely easy because we have fewer people to work with. And unlike the US, where every school has different insurance requirements, in Australia it's all standardized. So one provider can offer services through us to virtually every student going to the country without any fear of non-acceptance by the institute they're attending for whatever service it may be.
And another pain point you said you're raising to address is you're trying to figure out a way to develop churn in terms of your customers and develop a lifetime LTV for your customers. How do you, once you do raise, or if and when you do raise, what are some methods for you to address that concern?
A shortfall that we have currently that I've noticed every other business, whether service or product-based, has is a sales team that excels at nurturing leads and taking all the inbound traffic and value flowing through their ecosystem and converting it to revenue. While we have an exceedingly strong tech and business development team, we are falling short on a sales bit. Now, we know there's enough demand for each of these services across the entire student lifecycle because we see the clicks going to these partners of ours, but there is no follow-up or nurturing of that lead, and hence we lose out on the potential revenue from the interested party who's taken the effort to find us and click on that. So a sales team would be a very, very big boost. Along with that, of course, automated processes to prevent any leakage in this pipeline of people who display interest.
Speaking of pipeline, I'm curious about the demographic Rome is trying to target. When you first talked about with you guys about a year ago, you guys were targeting mid-tier schools that are targeting maybe less so affluent clients and students. But now the judges bring up a point where if you go direct to consumer, you are able to hit that affluent demographic where you can charge $50 a month to provide all the services packaged to them. What angle are you trying to tackle? And if you have any thoughts?
That has been a recent development we've experienced as well. There is definitely a market pull that we didn't see initially from people who would be considered affluent, because initially we built Rome with the idea of helping students save thousands of dollars, making it more of a necessity than a convenience. Of late, we have seen people value the time being saved as something they'd be willing to pay for.
Right.
In that light, we are experimenting with what we could do to create a D2C recurring revenue stream, perhaps make some sort of subscription-based service where students or parents could gain access to some sort of resources that they would benefit from.
Krish, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Before we go into the studio, is there anyone you would like to plug? Anybody you would like to reference for your journey building Rome?
Shout out to Adler. Adler is my CTO. Adler is our CTO and my co-founder, who's built all the awesome tech and the platform that has been seen by tens of hundreds of thousands of students and has helped plenty of them save thousands of dollars, loads of stress, and tons of time as they start their lives abroad.
Well, Krish, it's been amazing to follow your journey. Can't wait to see what the judges have to say. This has been the On-Call Room. My name is Leon. Now back to the studio.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you for taking the time to hear me pitch today. We are currently raising a $4 million seed round to capitalize on the value moving through our ecosystem and continue selling our services to universities.
So first of all, great presentation. Really enjoyed hearing more about your own, personal background and dealing with this, huge problem. And I think we talked about before, this is a massive problem. I guess my first question is, you just said you're raising $4 million. What are you using the money for?
We're using money on three fronts. One is to replicate the distribution capacity we've built in South Asia, now in East Asia, including China, which would then make us which would then give us access to one of the largest student-focused distribution networks in the world. Second to that is we're using it to create a team of key decision makers at different universities who have long-standing relationships with these institutes to plug ourselves in as a service provider to their ecosystem and enable service offerings through Rome to all the students who attend. Lastly, we'd be using part of the funds to natively offer certain solutions, more so on tuition payments and student housing, as these are the two problems we've seen go unsolved amongst every service offering that we've come across as the marketplace.
Gotcha. Well, I think knowing who your customer is and solving a real pain point sounds great, and sounds like with the raise, you're focusing on the trust, which will be a very important factor. I guess my last question is, what are you looking for aside from the $4 million? What do you need from an investor?
Definitely a synergistic alliance wherein they have an understanding of how to monetize marketplaces, perhaps see how or guide how marketplaces can integrate into verticals and capitalize on an ecosystem or distribution that exists. And Yeah, I would say someone who has experience going from an ecosystem to a native product offering.
So, well, I'd love to, be helpful. I think at this point it's probably a little too early, but I love what you're going after, but it's just not the right investment for me right now.
I hear you. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
I think based on what you've told me, like there's definitely a business here. And I'd love to see that flourish. I think you're spreading yourself too thin with all the different pathways that you're trying to do this. I don't know the business, so maybe I'm wrong, but from what we've heard, like you've got two arms. So, and there's 18 ways you're being pulled in this business. So, I definitely think you need to tighten that up, figure out exactly what the core competency of your company is. And then maybe at that point, there's a business that's investable. As of right now, I would have to decline, but I do wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat because obviously I resonate with this problem so much, and I really want you to succeed because I'm like right there with you. I totally get it. Like I dropped down here and then I was like, I need to go to Verizon. I need to find a SIM card. Oh, I don't have an SSN. Or like I need to do all these things. I need to figure this out. It is a difficult problem and it's a clear problem. But I think you need to discover clarity in your revenue streams and clarity in your team before you're able to be venture backable.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's it from the studio, but don't hang up just yet.
We'll be calling Krish back in just a few weeks.
A special thanks to the New York University Stern School of Business's Berkeley Center for Entrepreneurship team for making this production possible. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of Capital Calling. Disclaimer, the Capital Calling podcast and any related media properties produced by Coas Collective are provided solely for informational and educational purposes. Nothing presented in this episode should be construed as an offer to sell or a solicitation of an offer to buy any securities, investments, or financial products. Coas Collective does not provide investment advice, and all opinions expressed are those of the hosts or guests at the time of recording.